Hello, this is Kimberly from the IT department again. This is going to be the second video in a 3-video series that we're releasing to the facility managers that will be going over j1Web, the new calendaring system, how to book your meetings and your events, as well as finally the new stuff that we've put together on my TLU portal for the facility building managers. So to get started, with anything you do in j1Web, you're going to want to go to j1web.tlu.edu/j1Web. In this video, we're specifically going to talk about booking events because booking events has a lot more features in it than just booking a regular meeting. So to get started, you're going to want to go to the left-hand side over to the waffle icon. Of course, if you've already put in bookmarks and page pins for the building or the room that you want to go to, you can always go there and quickly go to the space. But in this case, as a review, I'm going to go to the waffle. I'm going to go back to facilities and view places. Okay, then we're going to see the list of all the places at TLU. I'm going to click Alumni Student Center again. And in this case, if you have any questions about the individual pages for the places or the spaces, meaning buildings or rooms, you can always go back and reference the first video. In this case, I'm going to go back to ASC conference rooms A and B. Then I'm going to scroll down. And just like we did for create a meeting, we're going to click the 3 dots and we're going to instead click create event. Okay. So you're going to see that with events, there's a lot more information that you're required to input than if you were just booking a meeting in the system. The first required field is event classification. Under this dropdown, you have single event, recurring event, or multi-part event. Single event is very great for if you just have a event that's going to happen one time, then you want to click the single event. Recurring events is very great for all your meetings that you're going to have that are going to be recurring over time. So for example, say I have a meeting that happens every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. I would want to select recurring event. Finally, your last option is to do a multi-part event. This is really great for if you have an event coming up where the activities associated with that event are going to take place in multiple buildings and multiple rooms. For our first one, we're just going to go over single event. Here, you're going to want to give it a title. I'm just going to use something that I had recently inputted. This field's really important. So as we go along and we start adding more and more events and meetings to this system, if you want to go back and look at that, it's going to be a lot easier to find a specific event if we put a more defining title here. Because let's say this brass quintet rehearsal happens every year. I could always come in here and I can change the abbreviated title to something like this. So here I have the beginning of the title that's up here. And then I put in the term code and the year code. And then I added what the room code is. So that'll just make it easier to find this specific event later on if we need to. Under type, we have 3 different types. Event request from my TLU, we're not going to use right now. That is another feature of this system that allows us to display the rooms on the portal. And then students and outside people could come in and send event requests through the portal back to the system for approval from the facility managers. But like I said, we're not going to use that one just yet. Most of the time, you're going to want to select student events for just about everything. The final one, or I guess I should say the middle one, is special events. And you're going to want to make sure that you select special events if your event or your meeting requires facility services. So what this is going to do is when you click special events, it will then put your event or your meeting on the facilities report that facilities has, so that they know that their help is requested. So for now, we're just going to do student events. For description purpose, you can put in whatever you want. I'm just going to say that this is a test for j1Web training video. Here you're going to want to put in the event coordinators. This is a very filtered list that only people who have been added as an event coordinator in j1Web will appear. So like you'll see that we have Denise Casas, we have Olivia Van Hook. Let's see. We have Denise. So in this case, I'm just going to put myself as the event coordinator. And then for requester here, this is a very much bigger list. So in this case, I can start typing in somebody's name. And you're going to notice at the current moment that this takes a little while to load. We have, Robin IT has discovered that what they put behind the lookup for this specific field is a little bit complicated. But the good news is he's in the process of testing out making changes to where this requester field will load faster. And the other change that he is going to make is that the address that you see here for all these people that it pulls up, it will be changed by IT to where you will just see the name of the person you're looking for, and then possibly email address. We might add that in there. But once you get your requested put in, you're going to want to click continue. Oh, so if you get this error, it's because the abbreviated title that I used here has already been used. So I'm just going to change this to and then we're going to say that this is the second copy of it. I'll go through and I'll delete this event later since it already exists. I'm going to click continue. And you can always get rid of that error message if you happen to run into it. And you're going to see that since we were in the ASC conference room AB, that will automatically be populated. You can select the selected date and time. And so it's telling you right now that you can't set up your setup and teardown times because there's already a conflict. You can go and you can select the different dates. As before, these are editable fields that you can just type directly into. But I'm going to leave it at 0316. You can edit your times. You can change this to be 8:05 if you want to. You'll see that over here, it now changes to the 5 endings. You can mark it as all day. And since I moved it off of a time where there would be a conflict, you can always select a setup time and a teardown time as well. In my case, I'm not going to do that, but that is an option. That is great. I'm going to click select. And then if you scroll down, you'll see where the meeting that, or the event that you're creating would be put on the calendars below. From here, you just want to click save and finish later. You will notice on the left-hand side that there are a lot more options that you can go through. However, we're not really using these currently with the initial move over to the system. So after you put in the required fields and the location, date, and time, you're going to want to click save and finish later. And then that's going to bring you to an event page for the specific event that you created. On here, if you need to change the location, date, or time, you can always click here. Registration and attendance, we're not really using right now, but there are capabilities to where you can have on-site registration or pre-event registration. You'll see the event coordinators, the requesters, and then if we wanted to promote this out to the portal, you'd put in your promotion information, and then you'll see a calendar of when this event is happening. And then of course, there's further capabilities in the system where you can actually register these people, but we're not going to look at that in this first go around either. The final thing that you want to do, you'll see that your event has been approved. Now, approved simply means that it's been approved. It does not mean that this event is already on the schedule. So if you happen to go back and you're looking at the ASC conference room A and B and you notice that your event's not there, it's because you have not moved it into a scheduled stage. So to do that, you want to click the scheduling options and schedule this event. Now you will notice over here, you have additional options where you can copy the event, you can delete it, you can review the event details or documents if you happen to have any documents for this event. All right, I'm going to schedule this. Let me see. 3/16/805. I'm going to schedule this. And then if we go back to the Alumni Student Center and we scroll down to 3/16. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to go back to the room. And if we scroll down here, you're going to see my event. The thing about events is they're going to be shaded in this teal color. So when we look here, we can see that it was added to the calendar. Let's see. So now that we've done that, you can use the back button, which is very handy here. But I'm going to go back into the event that I created. If for some reason you need to cancel this event or postpone it, you could always come back to the event page, click scheduling options, and either postpone or cancel the event. So in this case, I'm going to cancel it. And you're going to see that the event's been canceled. And then, since I don't want it to appear at all, I'm going to click delete event. You're going to get a warning message verifying that you for sure want to delete it. And I'm just going to click delete in this case. All right, so once I did that, it took me to this events hub. Now, the other way you can get here is by going to events and create events. Also, there's events and view events. And what you're going to see here is a filter that you can do to look for all the events that are taking place on campus. This is where you would want to go if you need to go find your event that you created and make a change to it. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the Alumni Student Center. And remember, I could easily do this by going to the page pin as well, and it wouldn't be quite as many steps. I'm going to go back to A and B. And I'm going to create an event again. But this time I'm going to show you how the recurring events work. So we're going to select recurring event. I'm just going to pick this one because I had it in there. I'm going to add some random characters here because I know that I've added a lot of Bulldog orientation stuff. Okay, for type, remember you want to do student events unless facility services is needed, in which case I would do special events. I'm going to give this a title. I'm sorry, I meant a description, not a title. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to have to put in the event coordinator. In this case, I'm going to use Annette. And for the requester, I'm going to look up Denise. And just a reminder, this field will run faster and the address information will be removed fairly quickly. So Jenzabar actually did document this as a bug whenever we sent an inquiry in about it, and they do have intentions on making the change themselves at some point, but until that happens, Rob is going to go in behind the scenes and make it a faster search that doesn't include this address. So once you get all that in, you've got additional fields you can put on. These were available with the single event too. I just forgot to show them to you. I'm going to click continue. And then to begin with, you're going to see that the selected location isn't automatically populated, but you can come in and put your selected start date and time. So I'm going to have these occur every Wednesday from, we're going to do later, 10 to 11 p.m. With the recurring events, you can't have the setup and tear down times. I'm going to repeat this every week, but if you wanted to, you could do every 2 weeks. You could also change this to every day, every month, or every year. In this case, I'm going to do week. And then I'm actually going to make it happen on Monday, Wednesday. You can also have it stop after a certain number of occurrences, or you can do an end by. And in this case, I'm going to end it by the 30th of March. We're going to click select. And what's going to happen here is on the left-hand side, it's going to look for every location that is available during the designated times that I'd put in here. If you don't want to look through 11 places or 11 pages of places, you can always go here and use the filter. So I'm going to try ASC Con, apply, see, oh, yeah, and see here, it brought up the ASC conference room AB. And if that's where I want them all, I'm going to click select all available. And then it's going to move them all to the right-hand side, showing that that's where we want all those meetings to occur at. One thing to note about this is if for some reason there is a meeting in the conference room that ends at 10 p.m., you'll have to change the start time to 10:01 to make it work. Because if you don't change it to a minute later, then it's going to show it as not being available in the ASC conference room A and B. Unfortunately, that is a bug within the J1 calendaring system that is slated to be fixed soon. I'm not 100% sure when, but if you do run into that, that's likely the cause is you just need to change that to 10:01. You don't run into that very often. All right, so in this case, you can see all the dates that it selected for me based on the criteria I put in. And then again, you have the additional options here that you can go through, but really we don't want to mess with those right now. So we're just going to click save and finish later. Okay, we're going to see that our event was automatically approved. On this screen, you're going to see similar information again with event times, locations. When you go to the calendar, you're going to see that there's much more as far as what pertains to this event and the dates. Okay. And you're going to see your event coordinator and your requester. The difference here, since it's a recurring event, is this drop down changes a little bit. So you have where you can go and delete your event. you can also go to manage event occurrences. So this is great if you want to create a recurring meeting, but there's specifically a date that won't work because you need to book something else there. You can always come in here and manage these occurrences, and you can click delete to get rid of one of these. So if I click delete, it's going to let me delete the meeting from 3/23, and it's going to remove it. You'll see also under here that you can schedule each of the individual ones, but the much easier option is to go back to your event. Once everything is ready to go, click scheduling options, and then click schedule this event. All right, so if we go back here, and then we go to 3/16, we're going to see that the meeting, or I'm sorry, the event is in the teal color. We go over to the next week and we scroll down. We're going to see that it created it on the Monday. And then, of course, you don't see it on 3/23 because I deleted that specific one. And then if we go over, we're going to see the recurring meeting again on those days. So I'm going to go back to our actual event because I don't want this one to stay there. I'm going to click postpone this event for now. So you use the postpone event if you want to go in and you want to make changes to your actual event. Here you have the option to edit the recurrence series, or if you decide you want to put it in a different location, then you would do that here as well. So in this case, I don't really want to edit anything. I just want to delete it. All right, that's going to bring you back to this event's home screen. If you give it a few minutes, it'll load. This is a good overview area. I probably should have touched on it a little bit earlier, but what's going to populate is the upcoming events. And then you just got graphical data representing the events in our system. I'm going to go back and I'm going to use a page pen this time. And this time I'm going to go to the Beck Center LL1. Oh, and this is a good example. So I hadn't shown you yet what a class would appear like, but classes show up in a gray color. Dark blue indicates a meeting that's been approved. Light blue will indicate a meeting that has not been approved. And then if you see the teal color, which I don't know if you'll see any on here, that will be indicating an event. So we're going to click this drop down again with the 3 dots, and we're going to go to create event. Our final option is to create a multi-part event. Multi-part events are great for when you have an event that's going to occur on multiple buildings on the campus. Here you're going to want to give it a name. I'm going to change this. Remember, we want to make this as definitive as we can so that it's easier to find later. For the type, you're either going to want to click the student events or the special events if facility services are needed. Since I don't want facility services for this one, I'm just going to click student events. You can give it a description. You want to give it an event coordinator again. In this case, I'm going to make the requester be Bill. Don't forget that I mentioned that this search will be going faster within the next few days. and it will not include the home address information for everybody that's in this field. The reason that it's so slow right now is because requester is looking at every person that we have in the system, and then it's going and it's looking at a few views, so it takes a little bit long to run. As I said before, J1 did document it. This is a bug that they're going to fix, but in the meantime, IT is going to implement a workaround. Okay, we're going to click continue. Okay, and you're going to get this message that says multi-part events only require you to designate a date range when creating the main event. If you continue creating a multi-part event, you previously selected location and time will be removed, leaving only the event date. And do you want to continue? You want to click continue. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to put in the start date of your event, and you want to put in the end date. So I'm going to say this is going to run from March 16th to March 24th. You can click continue here, and you have the option to go through these fields. These are not required, and we're currently not using these. So here I would want to click save and finish later. And this is going to bring you to the event page. You're going to see here that it's a multi-part event. You can edit the days that the events are occurring. Here's where you would see all the sub-events that you create. You'll see that Bulldog orientation is booked on these days. And then you have the same fields as before. So to book into different buildings and rooms on campus, you're going to want to create a sub-event. You have the option to copy this event if you want to make another multi-part event with similar details, such as you're going to have the same event coordinator and the same requester. You have delete event. You can manage the multi-part event, which is just going through and updating the information on the page. And then review event details. So in this case, I'm going to want to create a sub-event. And then you're going to see we can go through, and let's say I want this one to be, let's say intro. And then you can update the title as well. And then we're going to do spring 22, so it's easier to find later. You can change the event type if you want to. I'm going to leave this as student events. For the description, you can put in whatever describes this individual sub-event. You're going to see that the event coordinator and the requester was automatically populated based off of what you put in the main event. Then I'm going to click continue. From here, you can start typing in a location if that's easier. So here I'm going to do Beck LO5. And then, of course, you can go down and you can look at the calendar if you need to know if anything is booked at a certain point. Like in this case, all this is available. You're going to do your selected date and time. So I'm going to do 3/16. You'll see that 7 o'clock is no longer available because that time has passed. If there is a meeting for one of these days already scheduled or an event, I don't know if you'll see it here, but different time blocks that are blocked would be blocked out like this. So this indicates that there's something in this room at that time. I'm gonna go to 3/16. I'm just gonna do 7:30, or you know what, since this is an intro thing for Bulldog orientation. Oh, I'm gonna make it on 3/17 from, sorry, 7:30 until 8:30 a.m. When you're doing multi-part events, you cannot create recurring events, but you can add a setup time and a teardown time, or you can make it all day. So we're going to click select. If we scroll down on the calendar, of course, you can see where it's at compared to other activities that are going on in this specific space. And then, of course, you don't need to go through all these additional tabs. You can just click Save and Finish later. And that's all you have to do to create your sub-event. Now, you will get a message saying that this sub-event can be scheduled only when the main event has been scheduled. So from here, if you wanted to create another sub-event, you could always do event options, copy the event. I'm going to make this a different thing. You'd give it another unique title. And then your event coordinator is going to be copied. I'm going to click copy event. That's going to take me to my new page. And then this is very simple because all you're going to have to do is it's going to keep that location of Beck L005. If you want, you can change that. To do that, you would just X out this selected location and then type in the new place you want to put it. So I'll put this one in AC conference room AB. And then you do your selected date and time. I'm just going to do 8 to 9. Select. And then if we scroll down here, you can see it on the calendar. You click save. And then that's it. And you just keep going and you keep adding your individual events that are happening as part of this main event. Once you are done with all that, if you need to edit something specific to this sub-event, you could always go to review event details. If not, you can go back to your main event by clicking the link at the top. Okay. And then if you want to edit one of those sub-events from here, you can click the Manage Multi-Part Event. Oh. Sorry, I stand corrected. That is something that needs to be fixed. But I can always click this back button and I can get to the sub-event that we have to edit it. Once you decide everything is good to go, you will need to schedule this event for it to appear on the calendars. So you have the option to schedule only the main event, or what you're probably going to want to do is you're going to want to schedule the main event and the sub-events all at the same time. So in this case, since it's a just for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to actually schedule this one. But if you did, whenever you came back, you could always find this event again and you can do the cancel, the postpone. You can go in and you can just cancel and postpone a specific sub-event, or you can delete the whole thing, which is what I'm going to do now. And that's pretty much it when it comes to booking events. The one important thing that I want to emphasize is if you have a meeting or an event that requires facility services, be sure to set the event type to special events. Otherwise, facility services is not going to see it. I know that there was a lot in this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. For now, we are going to end. And when we come back to our final video, I'm excited because I'm going to be showing you the stuff that we have put on the portal to help make this system more useful.